Hello, good morning, everyone. So, last week we discussed about the rise of Stalin in Russia, and we have seen how he was able to revive the economic conditions of Russia after the demise of Lenin. And uh, an advantage of his economic policies, which was initiated through 5 year plans and all, we have seen that Russia was the only one country which could tide over the ill effects of Great Depression. So today we are going to discuss about the greatest economic slowdown the world had ever witnessed so far, which is being termed as Great Depression. It happened after the Second World War. So it was not evident in the world immediately after the Second World War. Okay, the World War ended in 1918, but the effects of Great Depression it started to affect the people from 1929 onwards. It all started with the collapse of a share market from America. Even though the share market collapse happened in America, its effects were not limited only in America. It just traveled all across the world. There were very few nations like Russia could tide over the ill effects of a Great Depression. Okay, so all of a sudden, immediately after the collapse of this uh, share market from America, the Americans alone could witness the economic slowdown, very severe economic slowdown. Around 25% of the Americans became unemployed, and the unemployment rate was even higher in other nations. It went on to make around 33% of the people were unemployed in other countries, and the prices were fallen to a new depth. The value of money has been declined drastically, and the economic production and the prices of all the produced items were reduced to around 60 percentage. So such was the impact of economic slowdown, and the world had different opinions on the reasons of economic slowdown. And someone had said that it is a natural culmination of the capitalist policies followed by the countries like America and England. Whereas the capitalist economists, they said that it is the result of communist ideologies that prevail in the countries like Russia. So anyway, both the communist and the capitalist ideologists, or the communist and capitalist economists, they argued the reasons were different. Whatever it was, whatever the discussions in between them, it was very clear that the economic slowdown was there from 1929 to 1939, one of the most prominent economic decline the world had ever witnessed so far. So the economists like John Maynard Keynes, J.M. Keynes, they argued that it can be repaired only by the state funding. He said that the state should invest more money in making employment opportunities. When the employment opportunities are created, the people will get money, and the money will be circulating in the market. That was his policy. But many of the Western countries of that time, they did not take care of this ideology of John Maynard Keynes, and that was the reason this economic depression or the Great Depression continued in the world for around a single decade, for around 10 years. And in this time, a new government was established in America under the able leadership of Franklin D. Roosevelt, F.D. Roosevelt. And one of his primary objective was to bring back the economic stability to America. For that purpose, he offered a policy called New Deal policy. And for him, the New Deal policy involved three R's. Three R's. Okay. The first one is relief to victims. He promised the victims of Great Depression will be given a relief. First R, relief to the victims. Then reform of financial institutions. All the institutions that can prove something for the financial development will be given reformation packages. And again, steps to ensure economic recovery. So, in order to revive the economy of the nation, of the world, he promised that he will take certain steps. So, three R's: a reform, a relief, and a recovery. So, anyway, through those three R's, he was able to bring a sudden change in economic status of America, and Americans started to provide social security schemes. In simple terms, we can say that pensions to all sorts of people, uh, what the old age pensions, unemployed people, they will be getting a kind of economic help, and even the orphans, abandoned people. So every section, and it was during this time a kind of universal education, public healthcare systems. So all the sorts of areas wherever the people needs to get the attention of the government was provided by him. So an idea of welfare state was created among the minds of the people through this Great Depression. So by 1939, as we know, it is the year that Second World War started. So once the Second World War started, once again there was a sudden increase in demand, and the increase in demand created opportunity for better production and more production. And when the things are produced large scale, sure, their economic situations of the world increased a little bit. Okay, that's all.